Back in 2009, a journalist of the name of Rob Walker thought to himself, I wonder if increasing a value is possible of an object if you attach something special to it. So, Rob was thinking hard and long for what he was going to do. Finally, he came to the conclusion. I'm going to go on eBay. Yeah, I can buy things on eBay. So, he started doing that. So he started purchasing not one object, not two objects, but 200 different objects. And he had a plan. He had a thought and he had an idea. So he received the first object. And the first object was nothing less than this. A horse's head made out of plaster. It doesn't look too good, does it? Well, anyway, this horse's head was bought for around 99 cents. So Rob got his plastered horse's head and looked at it, and then he called an author and asked him, excuse me, but I have a question for you. And the author goes, oh, what's the question? Rob then throws back and saying, you know what, I would like you to do something for me. So I'm going to send you a picture of this horse's head, and I would like you to write a story about this horse's head. Is that okay with you? Is that okay? The author thought hard and long and finally answered saying, yes, I can write this story about this horse's head made out of plaster. So Rob sent the picture, the author got it, and then he started to write a story about that this horse's head took a world tour around the globe, around the entire globe. It had been left in the Eiffel Tower and it had been at a party at the Chinese Great Wall, or the Great Wall of China, as you know it's called. Then he got back the story. So Rob got his story back, and now he looked at it, realized that this story was good. So he took the story together with the horse's head, turned it around back on eBay, and started hoping for the best. So he bought the horse's head for around 99 cents. When he was said and done, and the bid war was over, this horse's head was now sold for a whopping $62.95. $62.95 for the ones who can really do like the quick math. That's an increase of 6,258%. Did you say 6,258%? That was the increase of connecting a story to the horse's head. And then we all ask ourselves, why? Why is that? Well, moving on with Rob, he had another 199 objects. So he reached out to another 199 authors and got another 199 stories back to him, did the return on eBay, start selling them, and was looking at the bid wars. So after all, for the 200 objects, he bought them for $129. When he was said and done and his study was completed, he had made and sold objects for $8,000. $8,000. And now we really ask ourselves, why? ¿Por qué? Why do we love a story so much, so even purchase things that we don't need? Well, that is what I'm going to talk about today with you guys. So we can ask ourselves, what is a story? What do you need to become a great storyteller? Well, first of all, you do not have to sit in a cabin in the Alps with fire and candles. You don't need that. You don't need to sit in a nice chair by the open fire and having one of those Morgan Freeman or Oprah Winfrey voices. You don't have to do that. Everybody can become a great storyteller. And that is why I'm here. I am going to introduce to you the magical science of storytelling. So buckle up, guys, because this is going to be a fun ride. I want to give you some solid tips and advices so you can be the one who creates great stories next time you tell a story. But let's go back to the reason, the why we purchase things. It's a tiny, tiny little bit that we want to become something. In some cases, something that we see. So how many of you have ever been to the cinema? You might raise your hand right now or nod your head. So how many of you have ever gone to the cinema and watched this gentleman right here? For the ones who don't know who this is James Bond. So we watched this cinema movie with James Bond, and we know it's totally unrealistic. You know, cars are flying through the air, planes are diving underneath the water, and every single time he comes out with the woman that he loves for the moment. But here is the weird thing. So we watch the movie, we walk outside the cinema, and there we can find ourselves, something has happened, something has changed. Because the way that we walk has now changed to the way that James Bond walks. The way that we talk has become more sophisticated because that is exactly the way that James Bond does. And the cool thing is that we now want to become James Bond or any other superhero of your choice. So you go home, and the next day you wake up, and here is a real twitch to it, and a real kicker. When you walk downtown, you're gonna buy some groceries maybe, or you're just gonna have a nice stroll in the park. But here's the twitch. You will find yourself, and the likelihood is great, that you will find yourself in a watch store who sells watches, and not any watches, the ones that he is wearing on his arm. Because you just want to, you want to take a little look and see how, is it a good looking watch or is it not? But anyway, so we go there and we know that we're not going to purchase it. But somehow, somewhere, and somewhat, we find ourselves walking out of that store, that watch store, wearing the same watch as James Bond did yesterday. Why? Because we want to become that person. And because we want to be connected with that person. And because we have bought into the story that they're telling us. Now, did you know that today, this year, and last year, and hopefully next year as well, we pay and we spend approximately $11.5 billion on movie memorabilia or items that are connected to a movie that we've seen. So now I want to be able to give you those skills that we are subjected to in the majority of cases every day. So what I'm going to look on is that I'm first going to give you a little idea of how the brain is working and how you today guaranteed is doing something a little bit wrong, but we're going to change that and optimize you so you will become better in communicating. Does that sound like a good idea? Well, I sure hope that you feel that way. So let's jump into when we were not looking the way that we are doing today. But we had one part of this thing that is connected between our earlobes. In general, it weighs around 1.2 kilograms. So what I'm talking about is the human brain. So all of you have this. But in the back of your head, you have something specific. Right here, you have a part of your brain called the reptile system. So the reptile system controls and really analyzes everything when you end up in a new situation. So whenever you walk into a new room, whenever you walk into an office space, whenever you walk into a cell meeting or presentation, whatever it is that is a new situation for you, the first thing that will kick into play in the back of your head is number one. I wonder, that person looks really strong. Look at those arms. The first thing you analyze is, are you going to survive this? Are you going to walk out of there still alive? That's number one. The second thing that you look and analyze in the room is, there's a good smell. There's a good smell. I wonder, ooh, is there food in this situation? That's the second thing. And the third and final, you will, this becomes a little bit awkward, but it's on the third spot in a new situation, you will go, oh, ooh la, ooh la la, ooh la, ooh la la. Look at that person and thing over there. I wonder if I can reproduce myself with that. Ooh la la. But then if you have a partner or you're married, of course, your logic will kick into play. Anyhow, this is one of the strongest things we have. These are our urges. These are our needs that we have as a human being. Looking at evolution, religion, whatever you feel we want to believe in, we had to evolve. We had to become something else. So another couple of million years went by and we now developed this part of the brain. This is called the limbic system. So the limbic system pretty much controls the last time you felt sadness, or you were happy and you felt joy, or you were frustrated with something. Whenever you had one of these things, which are emotions, it is control-based and started here in the limbic system. You might ask yourself, and I would like you to ask yourself, do you believe and do you think that your emotions are important in your life? I would say that they're crucial for our total existence as we know it. Just imagine yourself not having emotions. Hard, because we have them every single day. Once again, whoever and whatever created us realize on the line and on the way that, hey, you can't just be having all these urges and feeling a bunch of things. You need to become a little bit smarter than you already are. So this one came into play. And this one right here is called the cortex. So the cortex controls, handles all your logic. Every single information that you ever is thrown against you has to go into your cortex. And I think that you are now starting slowly to connect the dots. So in our business life today, in the majority of cases that we are entering a room where there is a presentation, or we enter a sales meeting, or we enter just a situation where somebody else is trying to do something with us, it's guaranteed that they're doing one thing, and we might be doing it to them as well. And that is informing them. We are nowadays informing people all over the place. And you can totally agree that we are subjected to too much information. So luckily, someone has created a failsafe, a safeguard, something that protects us. So join me. Right here, guys, right here, in the frontal lobe of your brain, you have something called a prefrontal cortex. So this prefrontal cortex is doing one thing, and one thing only. It saves us. So from everything, whatever comes over here, it's going to ask one relevant question. And the relevant question is, is this something that is relevant for my existence and my well-being? Is it? In 80 to 90% of the cases, you know what it says? Get raus! And that means no in Russian and out in German. So it's just going to say it's not relevant for my further existence and my well-being. Please exit and thank you very much. Never come back again. So getting into somebody else's brain is really hard. Looking at the structure as we have it, as we are created, we can see that there's a pattern. The same pattern as we got the different parts of the brain, we now also have the power of the decision. So over here, the reptile system controls both the limbic and the cortex. These two, so whenever you have a need, if you feel that you're scared, or you feel that you need to eat, or you feel that you need to produce, whatever situation you're in, that one is going to drag you out of the situation, go, let's go here, we're going over here, because you might not survive, or there is no food in here, or you just want to reproduce yourself. So this one controls all of the other parts of the brain. So whenever we stand in front of that adventure, remember this: we need to control it, and we need to control the environment of that. So whenever you tell a story, if you do not want them to feel scared about you or what you're telling them, remember, do not scare them. Same thing there. If you tell a great story, make sure that if you want to have the greatest effect, you do that after lunch or after dinner. I know for a fact that you've sat in several situations in your life where you listen to somebody and they're telling you a story and it's been 3 hours since you last ate or drank something. You can only think about that, right? Oh, I need a cup of coffee. Oh, I need a cup of tea. Oh, I would like to eat something. Exactly. So that's the reptile system for you guys. Second thing is that we need to understand that these parts right here, they will control that. So what I'm saying right now is that your feelings will control the logical part of your brain. And here is where we're going to look at something special. So today, humanity is doing the following thing. We are just throwing a lot of information, and the information is what we do, how we do it, when we do it, where we do it, and with who we are doing it. You agree that these steps, what I'm showing you right now is what we give other people. And what is this? This is pure information. So whenever you are subjected to pure information, your prefrontal cortex will ask, is this relevant for my further existence and my well-being? And your prefrontal cortex will over and over and over again say, niet, raus. So what should we do instead? Well, we should start telling them why. So what does why have to do with storytelling? Well, why in a story will create something special in somebody else's brain. Because when we tell them why, and let me just back this up. Why is not just because. Why, there's always two sides of the why. There's always your why and it's their why. So whenever you feel that you're going to tell a story, you have to ask yourself the first time and the first thought you have. My why is as follows. Why is it important for me to tell them what I want to tell them? Number one. The second thing is their why, and their why needs to be fulfilled as well because it's even more important. Why do they have to listen to what I have to say? So if you can come up with these two, then you're home safe. Whenever structuring a story, remember that you have to focus on your own why. Why do you have to tell that story? Why do you want to tell that story? And then, why should they listen to you? Why is it important for them? And to give you an extra crème de la crème is this one, times 3. Yeah. So when you think of your why, do it as peeling off a layer. So the first layer is the first thing that comes into your brain. So why should I tell it? Why? What's why my and what's their why? Okay, that's the first layer. Yeah, because I want to. Okay, that's too weak. So you're just going to peel that off. Then you're going to go to the second layer. Why do you do? What do you want to tell them? What you want to tell them? Why do you do what you do? And why they should listen to you? And it can be that you want to change the way of doing business. You want to change their way of seeing things. Then that is still good, but it's a little bit weak. So you peel that off and then you really conclude your why. Why do you do what you do? Why do you want to tell this story? Preparation is, in the majority of cases, the key focus in succeeding in telling a great story. Now you might wonder why I fumble with the word. Because I want you guys to remember that sentence. The preparation is the key for the success to tell a great story. Prepare yourself. Now I'm going to jump into saying, how can I affect people then to listen more interestingly in what I have to say? Is there a way? Yes, of course there's a way. So we're going to jump into hormones and signal substances. So we're going to talk about hormones. And the first one I'm going to talk is one of my favorite ones, and it's dopamine. So dopamine has a great effect on the ones that you're talking to. So the effects are as following. You become more focus-oriented, more motivating, and you increase in creativity, and you also increase the memory. So just imagine that you have somebody who's listening to you, that person will increase their focus, that they will increase their motivation to keep on listening to what you're saying, but they will increase the creativity so they can start using imagery and visualize what you're talking about. But the best thing is that they will now start remember what you tell them. Isn't that amazing? So humbly, I wonder for all of you guys who's watching me right now, if it's okay if I increase your level of dopamine right now and all the other signal substances and hormones. I hope that's okay. I can't see you, but I hope you're saying yes to that. So, to give you an idea who I am, I just love scuba diving. Wherever I go on this planet, when I'm allowed to travel, of course, wherever I go on this planet, I take my scuba gear with me. I love diving. I love the ocean. I love being caressed by the ocean. So one time I went to Costa Rica and we were going to go on a dive trip, but unfortunately it was canceled. So I had to satisfy myself with going on a snorkeling trip. So I did that. And just to give you, the sun was just like burning. It was a great day. A little bit windy, so it was a little choppy, but the day was just great. We jumped on the boat. We took a ride out for 35 minutes on this beautiful ocean. And we even had to stop because there were whales jumping out of the water. It was amazing. So I was super excited, looking forward to go into the water and see what I could see, what kind of fish I could look at, and what kind of coral they had. So we stopped and we anchor at this place. It was around a small island in the middle of the ocean. And I'm the guy who always jumps in first and the last one to leave the water. All the time. So I do this. So I jump in when the captain says, go ahead, and we had 40 minutes around snorkeling, and I was really looking forward to it. So I put on I jumped in the water and I was swimming around, but it was this really strong current, so I was lucky to have fins on and a snorkel. So I was swimming there and I was looking at the fish. I saw a big puffer fish. I even saw a couple of yellowtails just rushing by and some small sergeant majors. There's a tiny fish, but really cute, but a curious little guy. So I was swimming around this little island and the current was really ripping now. It was really, the wind picked up. But I didn't think too much of it. I had my snorkel, so it was fine. All of a sudden, I hear that donk, 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 donk. And I know by experience that the donk, 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 donk means that everybody needs to get back on the boat. And I was upset because 40 minutes just went by like this. So I started heading back to the boat, and I was taking my time because I wanted to be the last one, of course, out of the water. So I come up to the boat and I can start counting that the majority of them are there. Yeah, I look like I'm the one of the last one, and I'm really now getting thrown in water and almost crushing myself towards the boat, but I'm keeping my distance. So now is my turn. I was waiting for the lady in front of me to get up, so it was my turn to get on the ladder. And now something is grabbing my attention, because on the boat there's a woman, and I can see her right there. And she's a little bit pale. And she looks out towards the horizon. And now, with the panic in her eyes, she points and screams, She's going down! She's going down! Instinctively, I look over my shoulder. And yeah, she's right. Several meters away from me, in the high sea, I see a hand is reaching up. I know something is really, really about to go wrong. I had still everything on, so I put my snorkel back in my mouth, and I took a bearing towards where I saw her hand. And I swam, guys. I swam as fast as I could. I could feel my heart being on the other side of my chest. I swam as hard and as fast as I could. I swam and I swam and I swam and I see her hand, but she's drifting away further and further and further away. So I put my head down and swim as fast as I can and as hard as I can. And just when I'm about to reach out to grab her hand, so guys, this is dopamine for you. Whenever you tell a story, what can you apply to create that emotion, that dopamine level, that signal substance? Well, if you create suspense, anticipation, and cliffhangers, you will give what I just gave you guys to someone else. And can you agree that it feels good, it felt good, you enjoyed the story, and all of a sudden when I just stopped, you were in pain. And you're probably still in pain, but I'm telling you this, guys, it's going to feel better soon again. So that was dopamine. Jumping on to the next substance, now we're going to talk about serotonin. This is one of my favorite ones. I do love serotonin in the amount that I really, just like dopamine, when you get an increase of serotonin, you want more. And you want more every single day because you like the feeling of serotonin. So what are the effects of serotonin? Well, you become more accepting, you become more kind, and you can increase the self-esteem of the ones that you're speaking to. Or you can increase your own self-esteem as well. So with that said, I am truly happy. When I was reached out to do this talk with you guys, you are my fuel. I was bubbling and I was so happy that you wanted to hear me talk about storytelling. I have devoted myself over the last decade of just becoming better in helping people to communicate with each other in a level that we haven't seen before. And I do this together with the David J. Phillips organization. And I didn't have such an easy childhood. I was bullied when I was young, and I remember it as it was yesterday. I was a little bit of a chunky monkey. So I love to eat snacks and I love to eat candy. And in Sweden, we have really good candy, and that is where I'm from. So I remember the day I was a chunky monkey, and on top of the chunky monkeyness, I also had to get glasses. And I remember the first day in school when I brought my glasses to class, and I was so proud because my mom, she was proud over that for being able to select the glasses that I wanted. And I had a free choice. She said, "Son, you can choose whatever glasses you want. It doesn't really matter what they look like, but it's your choice." I was so happy. So I chose green glasses with red details. They were super amazing. And also I got to choose the casing that I could put my glasses in. And get this, I chose one that was green, matching with the glasses. You know, I thought that way back then. And there was 3 snowboarders, one with a broken arm and one with a broken leg, and the other one had a broken head. It was at least bandaged on the head. So I was really proud. So I came to class and I took out the casing and put it on my desk. And I was the first one in class to get these things, the glasses. And one of my friends, one of my classmates comes up to me and just looks at it and goes, "What is that stupid thing?" I didn't know what to answer that person back then, my friend. So I took my first lie that I can remember and I said, "It's a game." And then he asked me, "Can I play that game?" And I go, "No, there's no batteries in it. Maybe tomorrow." And from that, I systematically started lying. You're my fuel. You are the reason why I'm doing this with a smile on my face, because I truly believe that communication should be something that should be free for everyone. You need to learn this in a young age, so you need to be able to stand up towards the ones that are bullying you, and you need to stand up knowing what you need to do. So I humbly thank you from the bottom of my heart, because you are the reason why I wake up every morning with that smile on my face and enjoying every single moment on this planet. So thank you guys. Thank you so much for watching me. and taking the time. I know it's the most valuable thing you have, and you chose it together with me. So thank you. So how do you increase serotonin levels in another human being? Well, it is not hard. What you have to do is that you tell a story of where you feel proudness, or you feel proudness over them. That includes happiness, success, or you increase somebody else's social status. So a simple thing, a simple sentence can do so much in somebody else's. So in somebody else's brain. So whenever you tell a story, make sure that you include serotonin in that mixture of hormones and signal substances that you want to have them receiving. Because here's a simple fact. If you do this on a regular basis, it doesn't matter if you're the CEO or if you're in management or you're by yourself. People around you who get increase of serotonin from you have a likelihood of following you more often in what you're saying and what you're telling them and asking them to do, because you become their leader. By a simple thing of just saying how great they're doing something that you have asked them to, or something that they are just doing in life. One sentence can make the total difference. From leaving the serious level, and let's talk about something that is a little bit more fun, and that is endorphins. So endorphins we enjoy, the more we can get, the better it feels. And what is endorphins? Well, the endorphins, the effect they have is that you become more positive, you become more open-minded, and you become less critical. Three great effects that you can have in somebody else's life or in your own life. This one is one of my favorite, that you become less critical. In today's world, we are looking at everything with some criticism. How about we just become less critical and have more fun? So I'm going to increase your levels right now of how to increase endorphins. Get ready.
To join with you and to share
all that is to come,
all that is to come,
to give and to receive,
to give and to receive,
to speak and to listen,
to speak and to listen,
to aspire and to respond. Are you speaking or listening? To aspire and to respond,
to inspire and to respond,
and in all circumstances.
and in all circumstances,
Of our life together.
of our life together. Of our life together.
Be loyal to you
To be loyal to you
with my whole life,
with my whole life
and with all my being,
and with all my being
until death parts us.
until death parts us.
All right, so she's having an overload of endorphins. She can't control herself. And I think you've been in the same situation. When you sit in class, or back when we were younger, we sat in class and we had to be super serious, but then all of a sudden we started laughing, or our friends started laughing. And here's the thing. This is how you create it, laughter. So what happened? Well, it was an easy thing. You mirror whatever you see because of the mirror neurons that you have right here. So if somebody's laughing and you know you cannot laugh because they're laughing, they're putting you in a positive state of mind due to the endorphins, which will make you laugh. And if you laugh, they will start laughing because they're mimicking you. Do you see where this is going? You're kind of exchanging laughter with each other. So guys, tell stories that creates laughter and we're gonna have a happier world. Here's the thing though. On the most serious note that I can place, we have a situation, and that is this one right here. This one is the single-handedly worst thing that can happen, and that is cortisol. So what is cortisol? Well, it's a stress-related hormone that creates havoc because it's connected with adrenaline. When you get an increase of that, you become intolerant, irritated, lack of fantasy, critical, and reduced memory, and you make the worst decision. And this is scientifically proven. So you might ask yourself, how do I don't want to have people feel this. You want to feel what cortisol feels like? Ah! There we go. I'm sorry about that. It might scare you, and I just got a quick increase, and probably your speakers just went boom. I do apologize, but this was a tiny, slightly increase of cortisol. You became a little bit more stressed out. Your reptile system go, okay, I'm not going to survive this, and then you were heading out the door probably. But just understand that you live in a choice. You live in a world full of choices. If you inform people, you have a much higher likelihood that that person will have an increase of cortisol. You become more stupid when you have too much cortisol. So be smarter, guys. Be smarter when you tell something. Tell them in stories instead of asking people what to do, how to do, and when to do it. You can still use that in a story, but you have all the other effects instead. So there's a choice. Either you choose that one hormone who creates all of that, or you choose a combination of the other ones. And then you will have this. You will have people who will feel all of this, and you will mirror them and mimic them, and then you will feel better too, just because of a simple story. So, is that all? Are we set and done after that? No, we're not. Because you can create the best story ever, but if you lack this, the delivery, then everything falls. It's like a house of cards. So I'm going to give you a couple solid advices. First one, this right here, your face. Let that face, because right now in the video conference era that we're entering, or in the digital world that we're entering, a lot of this interaction to a camera is going to be the only thing we know. So make sure that your entire facial structure is working. And one of my advices I give to you is to use the 2-T-Ta. And you might, wait a minute, what did you just say, Alex? The 2-T-Ta. The 2-T-Ta is to make sure that you are using the ocularis oculi and the symptomatic majors down here, the 3 crowfinger muscle areas in your face. Because if you do that, people will mimic you, because they will see, are you happy, or are you upset, or are you just awkward? So the 2-T-Ta will help you with that. So what do? Well, you shape your mouth, and then we're going to break it down. The first one is tu. You see what I'm doing with my eyebrows here and my mouth? Yep, it's really round and oval, or a little bit oval. So tu, you will feel your muscles are working, contracting, and then you go ti, ta. Tu-T-Ta. If you do this 10 times in a row, and you can do it in front of a mirror, that's fun, you will probably wake up with sore muscles in your face due to you haven't used them before. But if you do this, when you're using this facial structure, it's easier for them to really see, oh, this is what you're meaning. Oh, this is something. Oh, this is where I'm supposed to laugh because that person is smiling. Yeah, because we mimic people. We replicate what we're seeing. So make sure that the facial structure is following the storyline. If it's happiness, you can't go like this. Make sense? The second thing, functionality when it comes to gestures. These hands, this body is nonverbal communication. And I've been nonverbal communicating with you since I started this talk. Make sure that you increase your functionality when it comes to using your gestures. There's several different ways of not using it. One of my favorite ones is using the fig leaf, and that is when you stand like this and holding your hand in front of your genital. And you're telling a story. But the thing is here that you have signals that are up here that are sent down and through your entire body. But when you hold your hand like this, you're not going to be able to do what your brain wants to. So you're just going to do a twitch. And here's the scary thing. The more I'm twitching, your eyes are following a movement. So you're going to look down on my crouch, and that is not where you want to have your focus. So make sure it's functional. Locked body positions can only create havoc and sometimes sadness, and people will run away. That is one way of doing it with the fig leaf. Another one is standing in the forklift position, or in the bunny position, or in the peacock position, or what is the other one? Oh, this one is great, the Union rep. And we got the Sergeant Major as well. So the Sergeant Major is hands behind your back, and when the Sergeant Major want to emphasize something, puts in a toe lift. Some of you are smiling right now because you've seen this before, live in action. And you might ask, what should we do then instead, Alex? First of all, number one, find a neutral stand. And the neutral stand is when you have your hands just hanging from your body like this. And then, second step is start to listen to your signals. When your brain is going to say, oh, okay, you're going to start you're going to start your story right now? Yeah, you're going to start your story. Okay, welcome everyone. Okay, so say welcome everyone. And what you do with your handstand? Okay, do an opening, a regulator. It's called a regulator. That's right. So do an opening with your hands and hugging your audience or the camera. And that would look similar to this. Welcome everyone. So now I'm using the functional gesture of saying, guys, it's time for me to start. It's time for you to focus on me. And you and I, we have just bonded. Other functional gestures can show that something is big or not so big, tall, not so tall, or moving. It can be that we're showing something that if you ask your audience to go, okay, I would like you to take out your smartphones. I would like you to take out your iPads or your tablets. When you show that, just by a simple drawing, you make them visualize. If you remember the dopamine story that I told you when I said that the water and the ocean was beautiful, when I said that the wave, it was a little bit choppy, and also when I was pointing up, you imaged, if you ever been in the situation, you could image that because you could imagine it. So guys, what I'm asking you is to start using your hands, but remember, you always have to be functional gestures, because if you end up like this in your entire talk or entire storytell, this is not functionality. This is a repetitive, non-functional gesture. It's not easy to tell a great story, but everybody can do it. So with that said, I've gave you some solid advices how to tell a good story. Remember to practice your story before you tell them, because if the delivery is not there, your story is going to fall short. We have found that we have communicated between each other for approximately 250,000 years in sign language. We have found drawings that age back to 27,000 years ago when we drew in caves. And we communicated with each other through text for the last 3,500 years. But the scary thing is, for around 30 years, we have communicated through this, and that is PowerPoint. Is PowerPoint bad? No. It's one of the greatest things that we have, but we just don't know how to use it yet. So what I'm asking you guys is to start telling the stories, because everybody deserves to be listened to, and everybody deserves to tell a great story. My name is Alexander. I thank you so much. And remember, tomorrow when you wake up, you have a choice. You have a choice to make the world a little bit better than it is today. Thank you very much.